All right, welcome back. Dele Ayemibo, the former chairman, Export Group, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He's also the first certified specialist in demand guarantee in Nigeria and among the first 10 in Africa. He joins me now. Hello, Mr. Ayemibo, and thank you for joining me on the program.
How are you today, Nancy? Good morning.
Good morning. To see you, Dele. It's been a long time. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Okay, let's start on this happy note, and by the end of the show, let's still see if we will be happy. But of course, perhaps we just need to smile because there's been a lot of sad news lately, you know, sad news around, just looking around. So anything that would just make me smile, even for a second, I would agree to that fact. Now, let's get started. Nigeria was the 53rd country to sign and ratify the agreement. Like in my intro, President Buhari did that July 7th, 2019. But I want you to explain to my viewers in simple terms what the African Continental Free Trade Agreement or the African Continental Free Trade Area means and how it would affect the economic as well as the financial space.
The agreement basically is to enable African countries to trade together duty-free, such that at the end of the day, it becomes a lot easier for me to trade with Ghana, with Rwanda, with South Africa, without the challenge of the tariff barriers that we often see across different countries of the world when you are trading across borders. For me, I strongly believe this is a unique opportunity for Africa to be able to help achieve the goal 1, 2, and 10 of the Sustainable Development Goals. No hunger, no poverty, and reducing inequality. That's what I think is possible as a result of the free trade agreement signed on the African continent among the 54 countries that have signed so far and the 36 countries that have ratified so far.
Okay. Dele, let's just halt a bit and let's take an excerpt from the interview that I had with Wamkele Mene, who is, that's His Excellency Wamkele Mene, who is the first Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat in Accra, Ghana. And just take a listen to what he told me in September of last year, and we'll take it from there.
All right.
We are absolutely determined to be ready for the start of trading on the 1st of January 2021. That is the directive of heads of states, and I don't think that the heads of states will change their minds about that. That date is now set in stone. I should say that we should not expect that each and every single country will implement the agreement and will have customs infrastructure from the 1st of January 2021. Usually, it takes 9 months to 1 year for a country to do that. But there will be many countries who will be ready, and we will work with everybody to make sure that that in time we all have the requisite customs infrastructure to implement the agreement. So I'm optimistic, I'm eternally optimistic about this agreement, because I believe that it is actually, when you look at post-colonial Africa, this is the first time that we have had such a pan-African initiative that is supported by the highest level in Africa. All heads of states want this to succeed.
Okay, so Dele, let's take it from there. From what Secretary General said, quite a lot that I'll take out from that excerpt. But from what he said, and as we celebrated the new year, 1st of January 2021, the AfCFTA has started. Has implementation started already?
Implementation has started. He made a statement about when actual trading will start, even though the launch, it was January 1st, 2021. And the reason is because there's so many other things that need to be in place for trading to start. In my opinion, implementation has started, but the actual trading for many countries have not started. I think Ghana did one, a shipment that was done, I think January 6th or something. I've not heard of other countries that have been able to do that. So implementation have started, but the actual trading is yet to start because there are so many other things that need to happen for the actual trading to start, and that's what is currently going on.
So what does implementation mean? From your explanation now, what is the difference between implementation and trade?
Okay, implementation is setting in motion the mechanism to make duty-free trade happen on the continent. One of the most critical one is, two of them actually. One is being able to have access to the tariff schedule of different countries that they've submitted in terms of negotiated tariff schedule, so that if I'm shipping to Ghana or I'm shipping to South Africa, I'm shipping to Angola, I know exactly the item on the exclusive list in that country, the item on the sensitive list in that country, and the item on the non-sensitive list in that country. Second is also the process of obtaining the certificate of origin that is to be issued for products that are deemed to be originating products in Africa, which can be based on the level of raw material input, the level of value addition on the product, or the level of processing done on that product. All that is being worked out. We're hoping that the detail of that should be out before the end of this month. If that happens, then we might most likely see trading happening maybe in March or probably from the second quarter of 2021.
Now, Dele, don't you think, or do you think that some of the challenges that most of these regional bodies faced within the African continent, such as ECOWAS, such as the SADC, such as the EAC, are also in a way inhibiting the start of trading on concerning AfCFTA? That we're trying to bring the baggage we have from whatever region we belong into this. Because
I don't think so.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't think so. I think what is slowing us down is administrative. And for me, I think it's normal, it's okay for us to be at this point because we just recently ratified. In fact, I consult for a couple of companies, and I know a number of companies began to take AfCFTA seriously after the news of ratification broke out. Immediately they got to know that Nigeria have ratified. That was when some people began to ask questions. Okay, what do we need to do? How do we need to key in? That's for companies, manufacturers, organizations that will have to take advantage of it. But on the part of the government, until we signed late, number one, and then we just ratified. So a number of things that we could have done ahead could not be done until now that we have ratified. So I don't think it's our baggage and the issue we have that is slowing us down. Those are still there. There are issues we'll probably have to still deal with in some sectors, but I'm not sure that is what is slowing us down right now. Because some businesses can start as soon as they have their certificate of origin, in spite of the challenges we have in West Africa and in Africa in general.
You know why I also said that? Let's take a look at one of the things Wamkele did also mention to me, which is the customs. Last month also, the Nigerian customs to say that they needed explanations to how this would function. So if the Nigerian customs, for example, as at that time, I think late January, did not have explanation, so what are we talking about? Because the customs should be a trade facilitator, according to Dangote. That Dangote mentioned that, Aliko Dangote mentioned that the customs should be a trade facilitator and not perhaps a revenue generator, so to speak.
Always remember also that customs, for example, let me give you a quick example. For you to import into Nigeria, the regulation for importation is done by the Federal Ministry of Finance, for which custom report to. So custom will work based on the information available to them. They are part of the process, no doubt. But the document required for custom to work is exactly what I've mentioned. So if they say they are not, they are waiting for that, that's exactly what, not just custom waiting for, I am waiting for it, manufacturers are waiting for it, a number of stakeholders in Nigeria are waiting for that document and those information. And like I said, that those information are happening, are not out yet because we did not ratify on time, we did not sign on time. Things we could have done way ahead of time, we are just doing it. And so for me, no nobody to be blamed for this right now. It's for us to just expedite action on making those information available for us to be able to start. So I don't think it's because of all our bureaucratic issue or challenge of customs facilitation that is causing this. Of course, customs have their issues and different agencies have their issues, but I'm not sure that's exactly what is causing this right now.
So which office should be in charge of getting this information? Is it the Nigerian Office of Trade Negotiation? There's NOT and NOT.
I will look at National Committee.
Sorry?
I will look at National Action Committee because they contain. I mean, that's a committee that consists of different agencies of government involved, from custom to different ministry and agency working together to make this happen. I've also tried to reach out to them, and they've assured us that they are working on it and they hope to get this out as soon as possible.
Did I give you a time frame? Because as soon as possible.
Within the month, yes. I was very much particular about that. And they said within the month of February, hopefully. But they also need to go through a process and they need these documents signed off before that can happen.
Okay, Dele, speak to Nigerians and perhaps Nigerian businesses or business owners that are looking at what we're saying right now, that are watching this. Are there steps Nigerian businesses need to take to be able to partake? Are there steps that Nigerian businesses that are interested in exports need to take to partake of this, to get the benefits of AfCFTA?
Now, Nancy, that's exactly the information, the conversation we should be having right now. And I must thank you for that, because a number of businesses right now should be asking the question, my product as currently constituted, process, design, sourcing of raw material, will it qualify for duty-free access under AfCFTA? So for example, if I'm an agro processor, for example, maybe I'm producing some of these flour products using wheat, and the wheat is imported from America, North America or South America, will I be able to partake of this? I don't think so. You will need a substantial, I think about 50 or 60% substantial amount of your raw material sourced from Africa for you to be able to partake. So what those businesses begin to do, if they are thinking of taking advantage of AfCFTA, is to begin to rework their supply chain and begin to ask the question, is there a place we can source our raw material from Africa? Is there a way we can do some backward integration in Nigeria to be able to source some of our raw material from Nigeria? Is there any country in Africa that is producing this product in a very efficient manner, and we can have a joint venture arrangement in that country to be able to get this raw material from an African country to be able to ship it into Nigeria? Because one of the things that AfCFTA is supposed to do is to also stimulate the growth of the continental value chain, meaning that we are producing product in Africa but sourcing the raw material from different parts of Africa. I bring in maybe cocoa from a particular, from Nigeria, I process it to cocoa liquor or cocoa powder, cocoa cake, and move it to another country that converts to chocolate. That's the kind of stuff we should be seeing in Africa under the AfCFTA. So manufacturers who have their raw material being imported need to begin to rethink or rework their supply chain, asking the critical question, how will my business, the product I have, benefit from AfCFTA? So for those importing raw materials, and 60, 70, 80% of your raw material are from outside Nigeria, outside the African continent, you most likely will not be able to benefit from the AfCFTA, and the need to rework your business model might become necessary. I will look at different areas. The promoters need to be interested, first of all, in taking advantage of the AfCFTA. That means, and come to think of it, there's a big challenge with foreign exchange right now for a number of manufacturers. So when you said, for those that are interested in export, any importer in Nigeria right now, who is importing raw materials, who is processing Nigeria, who is not interested in export, I was concerned about the management of such a business, because a number of them are having issues meeting their obligation right now. So export for them right now is a survival strategy. Not just because you want to do it, it's something you have to do to be able to ensure that you have control over your sourcing of foreign exchange. So I think it's something that any business, both in product and service, need to consider to be able to take advantage of the benefit available to us under the AfCFTA.
You know what, Dele, while you were talking and you're saying that businesses should be concerned with this, now in fact it should be a strategy, it's no brainer. What was coming to my mind was information. Perhaps you're saying because you know.
Yes.
Information is very critical.
I was commending you for asking that question.
Do you understand? Information is very critical. And I've also looked at information as one of the impediments to the implementation of some of these FTAs which we've had, even concerning ECOWAS or any other FTAs.
Sorry to cut you, Nancy.
Yes,
Nancy,
go ahead.
sorry to cut you.
Go ahead.
Just to speak to what you just said. In my research, I found out that majority of countries that have not been able to maximize AfCFTA, information about the agreement is the critical success factor. I did research on ETLS in West Africa, looking at why Nigerian businesses have not been able to. It's been 30 years. Why Nigerian businesses have not been able to. In the literature I review, I found out this same problem. In the study I did and the survey done locally among businesses, I found exactly the same problem. It's happening in Asia, it's happening in Europe, it's happening in America, it's happening in Africa. The fact that the businesses to benefit from AfCFTA, from free trade agreement generally, are not even aware of the agreement. Those that are aware are not even aware of the benefit. Those that don't the benefit are not even aware of how to go about it. Is a major challenge.
So why is that challenge there? Is it hard to understand? If you recall, my first question to you when we started the show was that, please, in simple terms, explain what this African Continental Free Trade Area means and the benefit. I was I was on purpose. I was purposeful with that question because I know that things around FTAs or all this, we are just speaking too much grammar. It's hard to understand, you know. So, yes, because you've just also alluded to that fact, that communication. But why is it so? Why? Can't some of these things be broken down? Or is it that people do not also want to access knowledge? They say knowledge is power. Or perhaps the application of also knowledge, you know, because from your own research, like you said, for some that know, they don't even know how to apply it. So knowledge is power, then application of that knowledge perhaps is greater power.
I think the philosophy that drives the way we do business also contributes to this. You know, yesterday I was at the Lekki Free Trade Zone, and I was seeing businesses in that zone setting up. And apart from Dangote, that I'm not sure of any major Nigerian brand, businesses fully owned by Nigerians that are taking advantage of the opportunity there. So what I discovered is, you know, if someone starts a business and the whole essence of the business is about comfort and convenience, immediately it's comfortable, he can afford all he needs, he's not thinking of taking that business global. When a foreigner is coming into Nigeria, particularly the Asians, they are digging into our laws, looking for incentives, looking for legal backing, for benefit to businesses, taking advantage of every opportunity, even the export expansion grant incentive from the Nigerian Exportation Council, which is established in Nigeria by law. These are the people that take advantage of it. So I think it's just orientation about the fact that many businesses are not thinking global. Nancy, there's a business in Nigeria about this business produce a product that is distributor are shipping to Europe. That business is looking for effect from CBN. His distributor are exporting his product to Europe. The business producing the product is looking for effect from CBN. There's something wrong with the mindset of our entrepreneur as to taking their business global, beyond the shore of Nigeria. That business already have opportunity to source for foreign exchange. But this business is queuing up, waiting for CBN to provide foreign exchange. Whereas his own distributor is exporting the product to Spain, to Italy, and they're enjoying foreign exchange. And the owner of the business, the manufacturer of the product, is not thinking about that. I think it's the philosophy with which we do business. The fact that we're not looking at the fact that there are ways I can maximize profit. There are ways I can expand my market. There are things I can do to be able to improve. Like, for example, as a business, for example, we do certification programs. So we need foreign exchange to be able to get our students to be able to pay their bill for the certification program we do with American Institute of Extended Studies. You know what we have to do? We have to, since we do training and certification on export, we have to begin to export ourselves, generate foreign exchange, and use that foreign exchange to pay the bill of our students. That is what any business in Nigeria today that is spending in foreign exchange and it does not have a strategy and plan to be able to generate foreign exchange, in my opinion, is an endangered species. And any business currently that is able to get its raw material locally, it's still good also you consider export. Why? To be able to gain FX and be able to maybe import your machines and be able to do some other activity that you really need to do with foreign exchange. So that even if you have to bring in experts to do stuff for you, you won't have to be waiting for CBN to be able to solve for FX, but rather you can pay those bills yourself based on what you are earning in foreign exchange.
You know, Dele, we've been talking about so many challenges right now, and I guess we have not also talked about some challenges that would be impeding the implementation of the CFTA for us. Can you enumerate some other challenges which we've not talked about and perhaps solutions to all of these?
The major challenge for because number one, exports to African countries must be value add. We won't be able to do well in commodities because a number of African countries are probably worse than Nigeria in terms of development. So we need to do value added, number one. Not just value added, my research also showed that the consumption component of the GDP of many African countries is largely from household consumption, which speaks to the fact that FMCG, retail products, are going to be major products we should be considering that AfCFTA, manufacturing in general. That means the infrastructural deficit will be a challenge, no doubt about it. But I also realize that Nigeria is number 15 or 16 in the competitiveness index in Africa, and number 4 or 5 in West Africa. Nigeria is still the second largest exporter in Africa and the largest economy in Africa, in spite of our challenges. So here's my thought. We have challenges, no doubt, but Nancy, I'm of the opinion that we can still do export at the level we are while leveraging, because government recently released 50 billion to NEPC and other agencies. They've set up a trust fund to be able to manage that fund while leveraging on the palliative from those funds, because there is, I've seen the document, and if what is on that document is well implemented, we probably will have solved probably about 30-40% of the challenges that we are going to be facing or we're currently facing as far as export is concerned in Nigeria. So we can still export in spite of the challenges, particularly when we are adding value, particularly when we are processing, because then it increases the margin that you have, rather than when you are doing commodities and you have to be struggling to be able to even break even because of the high cost of procurement of those raw materials locally. So there are infrastructure deficits that need to be dealt with. One of the challenges also is transport. Native is working on a project called, I'm sure you're aware of this, the Steel Link project, and they are still on it, and it's a private sector initiative that should enable us to be able to move goods freely, easily rather, within the West Africa and Central Africa, and they might have to extend that to Southern Africa eventually. I'm hoping they could not launch it last year because of the COVID. I'm hoping they will be able to do this year. I'm also in touch with one of the committee members, and they are really committed to making that work. With that happening, it should be easier for us to move good within Africa. I also think that necessity is the mother of invention. The fact that AfCFTA is going to increase trade in Africa should be an incentive for investors now to take PIDA seriously. PIDA is the Project for Infrastructural Development in Africa. There is a program already planned to be able to develop infrastructure in Africa, particularly road infrastructure, rail infrastructure. Now there is an incentive to that. People can put toll on that road. Railways can now be built, and we're sure there will be patronage of those rails because now we expect more and more goods to be moved on the African continent. But I don't think we have to wait for all that to get started before we move. Currently, even in Africa, in West Africa, in spite of our challenges, we are still able to trade probably better than many African countries. So I think we can start while also following up on government, putting pressure on government and other agencies to be able to fix some of those issues that will make us be very competitive.
Dele, are you looking at this aspect? Because while I was also thinking of this topic, that's where investment came into my mind in terms of Nigeria specific. If you take a look at diaspora investment, if we take a look at remittances, for example, $25 billion, though the Central Bank of Nigeria says he's trying to find where those billions of dollars are. But whatever it is, even if it's 2 billion or 5 billion or 10 billion that comes into the country, is something. Is there a window there for diasporans, Nigerians in the diaspora, to also start thinking along the CFTA lines? That's one. Then number two, what is the role of women in all of this? Because even a lot of women in Africa are involved in SMEs, small scale businesses or micro small scale businesses. So can women-owned businesses also begin to think from the micro level to the small or the medium level by getting or by maximizing the benefits of this CFTA?
Let me talk to the women first, because I work with a lot of women, because I mean, the people I consult for small businesses, they are mainly into agro processing. And I think AfCFTA is for women in Africa. Particularly those into processing of agro products. I think educating them across products, pricing, paperwork, purchasers, and payment is a capacity building program that is extremely important to educate women to leverage on the opportunities under the AfCFTA. When I talk about the fact that majority of the products constituting this GDP, consumption of GDP of African country are household consumption, those are the things that the African women are producing. Food items, regular consumables, fast-moving consumer goods. Those are the things they are producing. So there's a huge opportunity for African women under the AfCFTA. They need to be educated, enlightened, and of course supported to be able to make that happen. Because, I mean, if you empower women, you literally empowering the nation because of the fact that they are going to take care of the children. Now, on the diaspora remittances, Nancy, I have a view I would like to use the opportunity to talk about. You know, non-oil export in Nigeria, total volume, last year we did about okay, we're still waiting for the data, but let me use 2019, about $62 billion, about 12%, 13% of that were non-oil exports. Now, those non-oil exports, so that would be about $6-7 billion. Those people are not allowed to have access to their FX. This to CBN. CBN, $26 billion, according to CBN governor, is the remittances. These remittances, they are allowed to have access to their FX. Now, look at what is happening, Nancy. I think CBN realized that because their remittances were not giving access, if I send dollar to my people, they will have to sell to bank at a lower rate. So if I need to send, a Nigerian will ask for importer in Nigeria who want to import from China. He will send that $20,000 to China and tell the importer to pay his brother or sister in Nigeria in Naira at a rate that is profitable, at a rate that is prevailing. And CBN realizing that, look, this our policy is not allowing the outer remittances to come. That's why CBN is not seeing the dollar. The money came in really, but the importers have given the Naira locally, and that Nigerian American in Europe, in Asia, have paid the Chinese in China to be able to get those goods in. In the bid to encourage that money to come straight to Nigeria, I guess, CBN decided to allow diaspora remittance to have access to the dollar and be able to exchange at the prevailing rate. But CBN is saying exporters who are creating jobs, exporters who are producing in Nigeria, exporters who are adding a lot of value to the economy cannot do that. I think it's unfair. I think that policy needs to be reviewed. I think CBN needs to look at this again to be able to encourage a lot of people to export and ensure that the forex come back to Nigeria. That is not moved through the back door, through other companies or other countries. Or do you know nowadays, people are shipping out of Nigeria through other channels, Nancy. There are Nigerians today who would rather use the northern part of the country, go to Benin, go to Togo, ship out of Togo. There won't be record for that. Do you know why they will do that? Because FX, they are buying their raw material at the parallel market rate, and CBN expect them to come back and sell at about 400 in the I&E window whereas they can sell at 480. So I think that if CBN encourage exporters to be able to exchange this, or the Ayemibo to be allowed to be based on market forces, not controlled, and people are able to exchange at a prevailing market rate, just the way CBN, CBN did this in 2016, and it worked. But I don't know why CBN is not doing what they've done before this time around. CBN moved everybody to an window in 2016, and everybody began to do it because the gap between the parallel market and window was less than 5 to 10 naira. It's encouraging for people to go to Ayemibo. But today, Ayemibo is about 390 something to 400 and something, and 400 less than 410. But the parallel market is about 470, 480. You show it just now, 460 something. The implication of that is that it's going to discourage people from exporting, and for those that export, even though now they are forced to declare, which is good, I'm in support of declaration, but a number of them in the bid to ensure they don't declare might have to export from other parts, from to the land borders. And the implication of that is that we're not going to be able to get the effects. I'm of the opinion that if they're encouraged to do this, maybe we'll be able to get more forests coming to Nigeria. The same policy we have used for the diaspora remittances, with more efforts in the market, most likely we'll have reduction in the exchange rate.
All right, Dele, we have just less than, and it's getting interesting. Let's take a look at the role of NEXIM, the Nigeria Export-Import Bank, as well as the role of AfCFTA in this CFTA. That's one. Number two, is the trade policy in Nigeria yet? Because I seem not to have gotten clarity. I remember we were at an event together, is it last year in March?
Last year, yes.
Yes, before the COVID lockdown. And I moderated a session on this. Have you spoken to, have the ministry spoken to you, Industrial Trade and Investment? Are we on this?
I'm not sure we have a trade policy yet, at least not the one I know, and I'm really eager, I'll be eager to see that. The role of NEXIM and AfCFTA is so critical. Trade can only grow to the level of fund provided. Trade will only grow to the level of fund provided. If we are going to see the impact of AfCFTA, immediately the business start to export, they will need to expand, and that's where NEXIM coming, AfCFTA coming, to be able to ensure that the payment system, which I know, I'm aware is already being developed, they've done the UAT test for it, is seamless for payment system to work easily across Africa, but more importantly is to finance those projects, export programs. So I'm waiting to see creative finance products to be able to support particularly the SMEs.
Okay, yeah. Just hold on. Do you think that NEXIM should be capitalized, should be more capitalized? Because in fact, we're talking about central bank. Central bank also is on the board of the CBN. I think they are even the majority shareholder. So should NEXIM be capitalized? I had a discussion sometime last year with the MD of NEXIM, and he was telling me their challenges and all of that. Do you think that NEXIM should be more capitalized than it is right now? Some people don't even know there's NEXIM.
Before capitalization, NEXIM should blow its trumpet for people to know what they're doing. NEXIM is doing a lot, but only for few who are aware. NEXIM is doing a lot. I invite to speak. Early last year, they did a program in South in Aspa. I was impressed, which I must commend, but many people are not aware of what they can get from NEXIM. Example, recently NEXIM launched, during the lockdown, one of the things that the chamber pushed for is to support people to export is export credit insurance. Do you know NEXIM worked on that? And NEXIM launched that program commendably, but many people are not aware that NEXIM have an export credit insurance that can protect me as an exporter, that when I ship my goods to trouble zone, I'm sure I will get paid because my export proceed is being insured. So before we talk about capital NEXIM, even the one that NEXIM have right now, in terms of services and products and the fund they have, they said they have access to $1 billion from NEXIM for AfCFTA. NEXIM should blow its trumpet.
Okay.
And I think it's a call for government agency. Okay. Let the community know exactly what NEXIM can do.
Dele, we've got to go, but answer this in 30 seconds. There is another regional block called the RCEP. I can't remember, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnerships, that China signed with 14 other countries. You have China, South Korea, New Zealand, Japan, and all of that. India and US did not want to get into it, even though they were there initially because of Trump and Modi. Is that a threat to African Continental Free Trade Area? Because if you take a look at population, they are more than us, definitely. So what should we be doing? 30 seconds.
Now, for me, AfCFTA is good enough for us. It might be a little challenge for us, but you know the beauty of AfCFTA is the population is also here. 1.2 billion is a lot. I think if we focus on developing our infrastructure in Africa, we are going to get those people to come into Africa